are officially rolling, officially recording, and welcome to our Friday success call. This is Finish Strong Friday, hashtag FSF, guys. Welcome, glad you're here. We do these calls every Friday. Actually, we do success calls at this time every day, Monday through Friday. But Friday is the most fun, and it's the best one I've ever all week long. That's my opinion, of course, and I'm just bragging. But yeah, this is, we call it Finish Strong Friday because this is where you are going to really get your mindset straight. And we focus mostly on mindset here because about 90% of success or failure is what's going on right here between your ears. And so once you get your mindset straight, you can accomplish virtually anything that you want to accomplish. So we're going to talk a little bit more about specifically how to do that today. With particular mindset strategy. We're going to go into some old school personal development. But before we do that, for the benefit of those people who are guests or who are here maybe for the first time, I'll give a little bit of background about myself and my history here. Again, my name's Jeffrey Howard. You can call me Jeff, though. Please do. I've been involved with this business for just over a year and a half now. And along with my business partner, Eric Jacobson, who we hope will be here any moment, and we have done a combined income of, we're just about to hit $700,000 based on a really, really good week that we had this week. So honestly, we've got our eye on the seven-figure prize. You know, we were at the event in Denver that we just had our big live event, and we watched our close friends and business partners, Matt and Orlando, get their seven-figure prize, their seven-figure plaque, and then also Mark and CJ, who are also close friends of ours. And we started thinking, maybe there's a trick to this. It seems like these seven-figure earners are all doing it in pairs and partnerships. So since Eric and I had been in a loose partnership for a long time, we decided to make it a more formal partnership. And, again, we're charging forward at a really fast pace now. Got all kinds of awesome things happening within the community and the business, but we're not really here to talk about the business today, as this isn't really a presentation. It was really designed, again, to help you to be in the right frame of mind, the right frame of reference, give you some tools and strategies that you can use to move your business forward or just to move your life forward. And, that's really what it's all about. I've been a big proponent of mindset for a long time. Those of you who know me know a little bit about my history. When I was 17 years old, someone was a friend of my father's, actually gave me a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And of course, that is one of the classics, if not the classic work on personal development. It kind of started the whole personal development movement in a way. And if you're not familiar with the book, I would strongly encourage you to get it, read it more than once, use it as a reference point. It was published back in the 30s initially, and it was the book was basically a result of a study that Napoleon Hill did that was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, the big steel baron of the industrial age. And he was he was tasked with going out and interviewing the most successful men or the most successful people, which were mostly men at the time, in the world. Now, there he is. All right, with his new do and everything. And when he did that, he basically brought together these mindset concepts and these putting your life into practice concepts, and he boiled them down to a lot of common things. So that's where I started in personal development. I've been involved with coaching and training. I've had my own coaching training business for about 18 years. It's been 22 years since I fired my last boss. I haven't had a job since then. And, this is the personal development and mindset path. It's just right in my wheelhouse. This is what I enjoy the most. This is the part of what we do here in our community that I particularly attach to and really like to, pour my all into. So on a personal level, I am a single dad with 4 boys, but don't let that scare you because 3 of them are out of the house now. Although I did have all 3 teenagers at the same time at one point. And but now it's kind of things are coming full circle. In fact, Eric and I just had some meetings with my 22-year-old son who lives in LA, but he was here for the weekend, and he is an Instagram wizard. And we are going to plug him into Josue Pena's training, and he's going to come on and do social media work for our company. So we're actually looking at kind of mapping out an agency type of structure to have Jesse be involved. So it's really, really cool when, like, Jesse, my 22-year-old is the one I'm referring to. He has never seen his dad have a job. right? I literally, I quit my last job when my wife at the time, my second wife, was pregnant with him. So he's never seen anything but dad works from home. Dad's got this lifestyle. And now he's a photographer, he's a musician, he's in social media, he's just got that entrepreneurial heart. And so it's really cool when everything comes full circle and then all of a sudden you can, not only hopefully raise them right, but then actually get the opportunity to even technically be in business with one of your children. So, but like I said, only one left at home. That's Julian. He's 16. And I am also engaged again. Been with the same lady for a very long time, about coming up on 12 years. It will be in January. And we have never lived in the same town or in the same house because we made the choice to raise our children before we tried to do that. The reason being that I have 4 boys. But not just that, she has 4 girls. So her youngest is actually going to college next month. And she was also through her business able to sell her restaurant and catering company. She had an organic restaurant and catering company. She sold that last fall because she's doing very, very well in her own business, her network marketing company. And that's going to give us the freedom to finally, after all these years, be in the same town and actually in the same house. So that's me. And since Eric is now arrived here with his freshly coiffed hair, we will let him introduce himself and then we'll dive into a little personal development action from a classic stuff that you guys may be familiar with. We're going to have some fun today.
Every time I get my hair cut, Jeff, it gets a little closer to yours.
Yeah.
A little closer.
I think I'm going to win that race every time.
Maybe one day I'll go all the way. I just don't have enough confidence yet. That's all that's lacking.
Yeah.
All right. So, welcome everyone. Eric Jacobson, St. Paul, Minnesota. Been involved with this crew for about 17 months. Jeff and I are officially now business partners and really ready to take this to the next level. We want to help all of you take your business to the next level. That's really what motivates us more than anything, is just trying to, play a small part in the success of as many people as possible and try to help you to realize that, the world is, there's millions of dollars all around you right now. Right. And that money is everywhere. Right. And it's just like, it's yours. Right. And you just got to get it. And it's got to get it. It's who's got your money. Right.
Make it rain, baby.
Yeah. And you just got to believe that there's no shortage of opportunity. There's no shortage of income. There's no shortage of cash flow. It's just not coming to you, or maybe it is right now, but it's just, just getting yourself to the point where you're in abundance and your thoughts are full of abundance, and you're manifesting that in your life. And that's what we're going to coach and train on today. And so Jeff's got some exciting things planned, and I am just going to support, the maestro as well as I can.
Well, wow. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I like that word maestro. That works well with my music background.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be the maestro. I can do that. Hey, Connie and Bob, how's it going? Saw you guys coming in there.
And Connie.
Yeah, I already said hello to everyone before you were late.
Yeah. Bridget, hey, we talked on the phone. So excited that you're getting started. Hey, how you doing? Excited for you. So Bridget actually is a person I talked to with Chrissy when we were in Denver.
Oh, I knew I recognized that name.
Yeah.
I saw the Skype chat going on about
she's brand new, just getting started, just getting in the community. So Matt, Joy, appreciate all you guys. Good to see you. Let's get this party started.
Let's get this show on the road. Okay, so I want to ask you you know what? Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. All right, so everybody's muted right now. That's just for, keeping things nice and clean and lean. Okay. You are welcome to unmute yourself if you have a question or a comment along the way. I just want to emphasize, like I always do on Fridays, this is not a lecture. Okay. This is an interactive mastermind is the way we look at it. Everybody here has something to contribute. You're welcome to contribute anytime, whether it's a comment, a question, your own experience, or whatever it might be. Now, if I'm, or Eric, or one of us is in just like if we're on a tear and a flow right now, then you can type your questions into the chat or comments, and Eric just did that. So there should have been a little orange button that popped up at the bottom of your screen, unless you're on your phone, and it actually popped up on your screen. And when you click on that, it'll take you over to where the chats are, and you can chat your stuff right in there. And honestly, that's probably all the housekeeping we need to cover for today. So I do want to ask you a question, and we're going to start right off with interaction. So I talked about Think and Grow Rich. Last week, we talked about The Science of Getting Rich, which was a book that I rewrote that was in public domain by Wallace Wattles, published back in 1910. Okay. So today I want to draw from one of my personal favorites, and I want to know who's on the line today has heard of Earl Nightingale. Who knows who Earl Nightingale is? Okay, raising your hands. Okay, and type in the chat if I can't see you. Type in the chat. Yes, I have. Yes, I did. Yes, I didn't. Okay. Yes, I did. Yes, I didn't. Nice, Jeff. No. Yes. Okay. So Ann says yes. Okay. So Earl Nightingale. I'm not going to give a big long history about him, but he ended up as a partnership with Vic Conant, and they had a company called Nightingale Conant. So anybody who's older than about, we got a little feedback here. Okay, anybody who's been around the personal development arena for any length of time has probably heard of the company Nightingale Conant. They put out almost everybody you can imagine, from Zig Ziglar to Tony Robbins to Earl Nightingale's own stuff, Napoleon Hill, all on cassettes and later on CDs. They had this massive library of all the best of the best of the best. Brian Tracy,
Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen.
I mean, look, if you can name somebody who's been in personal development training, they were on Nightingale Conant at some point. Okay, so, but here's what most people don't know. Earl Nightingale, before that partnership, and I think going back to at least the 50s, maybe even the 40s, first of all, he did radio programs. And then he started taking these concepts, these personal development, motivation concepts, success tips, and he started putting them out on audio. Okay. Well, audio at that time was on a record. Like, everybody here knows what a record is, right? I think everybody on this line knows what a record is. And it's funny, vinyl's actually coming back into style again, which is awesome. So he used to do these things on records, and it's amazing. And there's a lot of really great classic stuff. You can find a lot of it on YouTube these days. But he had a particular, I think his first big compilation was a book and then an audio program called Lead the Field. And there was a particular piece that I was listening to the other day that really got me inspired. And it got me thinking about something that's really close to our heart here. We talk about mindset, and sometimes we get into the concept of your mind, the brain itself. Like, how does your brain function? How does your mind actually function? And, you've heard me say, many of you have heard me say that, we know more. We've learned more through brain research in the last 5 years than we've learned in the last 500 years about the human brain and how it functions. And so when you really begin to understand how your mind works, then you have a lot more tools to draw from to overcome whatever challenges you may need to overcome. So there was a particular piece that he did. It was called The Miracle of Your Mind. And I just want to pull some pieces from that. And I just want to, I want to give you first some sort of philosophy and some facts and that sort of thing. And then I want to give you a tool at the end that will allow you to sort of apply things. Because one of the things that Eric and I hear probably more than anything else is, what do you do to be successful? Like, what do you do on a consistent basis, on a daily basis, to be successful? And when we teach this in our 90-day strategy calls, like Eric did one this morning, I do mine on Monday. The first thing I tell people is, the best way to be successful and what to do in your first 90 days is just to be here in 90 days and do consistent activity over the period of that 90-day period. So, you're adding to your personal development, you're adding to your technical training, you're adding to your skill set on every level, and you do that consistently over time, and that's going to get you the result that you want. Well, when you add some of these higher level philosophical concepts to the mix, then you're going to start to see results in other areas, and you're going to start to increase your results exponentially. It's interesting because, and I'm not going to read out of his stuff, at least not much, but I'm going to paraphrase a lot of what he talks about. And, again, some of this is probably not going to be news to you, but maybe you're going to hear it in a different way that allows you to have it, land and anchor a little bit more. Because, again, we've talked about knowledge. You've heard that knowledge is power, but the reality is that knowledge itself is not power. It's the application of knowledge is where the power comes from. So you can hear these things and hear these things and hear these things. And until you get inspired to take a step and start to apply them, then the knowledge itself doesn't really matter. So you've probably heard that we only use a certain portion of our mind or our brain, right? You may have heard the term, the number of 10%, right? That seems to be a pretty common sort of go-to number. But there are a lot of people that say it's even been less than that. So Maslow, Margaret Mead, Carl Rogers, they all subscribe to the idea that we're using just a very small fraction. Like Margaret Mead said 6%. Herbert Otto said his estimate was 5% or less. So, what does that mean? I mean, imagine if you could just push beyond even 1%. Like if you could just push 1% more. What if you could use 10%, 15%, 20% of your brain's capacity? There was a research paper that was done by a Russian, I can't think of his name now, but a Russian researcher. And he said the latest findings in anthropology, psychology, logic, and physiology showed that the potential of the human mind is very great indeed. As soon as modern science gave us some understanding of the structure and work of the human brain, we were struck with its enormous reserve capacity. There it is, Yefremov. So he said, man under average conditions of work and life uses only a small part of his thinking equipment. I love the way he termed that, his thinking equipment, right? This is your thinking equipment, that brain, that mass of gray matter that's, in between your ears here. This is like the most powerful supercomputer that's ever existed on Earth, right? All the computing power in the world could only fit in like a small fraction of your brain. If you just knew how to use it, then you would be, you'd be unstoppable. You'd be amazing, right? So he said that if you were able to force your brain to work at only half its capacity, you could, without any difficulty whatever, learn 40 languages, memorize the entire encyclopedia from cover to cover, and complete the required courses of dozens of colleges. Okay, that's not even an exaggeration. That is the generally accepted theoretical view of man's mental potential, or woman's mental potential, of course. So how do you tap into that? Well, I like practical things. And, I think there's a lot of things around mindset that people have to overcome. When it comes to learning new things, I see that on our call today, we have people of varying ages, but I would say that on average, we're all in the upper quadrant of our lifespans right now, right? We've all had a little experience on the earth, couple years behind us, right? Not Olga, she's only like 18. She's done some amazing things for an 18-year-old, though. You guys, you got to really check out her work. Anyway, yeah. So, but you get what I'm saying. We've all been around. We've had a lot of experience. So, a lot of people, we get to a certain age, and we say, well, I can't learn new things because I'm old, right? I'm getting older, right? Well, look, my grandparents said that when they were in their 40s. It's crazy. I'm thinking about the things that I learned this year, and it just blows out of the water what anybody would ever say about you can't learn things at a certain age. I'm not old, but I don't think I ever will be, just for the record. But I'll be 59 this year. So, getting to that point where people start saying things like that, but I don't believe it. It's all a mindset, right? So we all have the capacity to learn. Hi, Carol. That is the most bizarre looking sort of upside down. Oh, I see what's going on here. You got Post-it notes. Like, wait a minute. Are you standing on your head? Anyway, so one of the common things that people say is, I'm too old to learn something. So let's put it in context. So we're here at 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle, and we have all this new technology to learn, right? So I'm too old to learn technology. Well, all that is just something that you've adopted as a belief that probably you learned from somebody else who was old when you were young, most likely, right? So you're here. Guess what, guys? This Zoom thing that we're on right now, this didn't even exist a few years ago. And you got the technology to be on here having a video chat with us right now. Whereas 5 years ago, you might not even have been able to, do email well, right? Eric, go ahead. You sound like you're getting ready to say something.
Well, yeah. And the thing about technology is that you don't need to know how it works, right? You don't know how I don't know how my car works. I know that I turn the key and I press the pedal and it takes me where I want to go. I press the brakes, I use the steering wheel, and that's all I need to know, right? So with this technology, don't let it intimidate you, because you don't need to, what we're doing here is just basically learning how to interact with it at the most basic level, which is, you didn't know how to send a text message before you sent a text message. You didn't know how to be on a Zoom call until you got on your first Zoom call. You didn't know, and it's, there's things, technology evolves quickly. And so the constant is change. The constant is new things happening, but it's your mental approach to that. How you're dealing with that is what Jeff's getting at. So,
exactly.
And be very aware of the stories you're telling yourself.
It's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Be aware of the stories that you're telling yourself, because that's just it. It's just a story. You've adopted a belief based on something you probably can't even create the foundation for anymore. Like, you don't even know why you think what you think anymore. So you need to examine those things. It's really important. Like Eric used become aware of, right? We talk about awareness a lot on these trainings. You can't deal with anything in your life until you become aware that it exists. So pay attention to what's showing up in your life and, really start to become an observer of yourself. Okay. So watch what you're doing and then question it. Question everything. Question the thoughts that come through your mind. If you find yourself that you're naturally repeating certain things, like I'm too old to learn new technology is the example that we're on right now. Catch yourself and ask yourself, is that actually true? And then you just want to reframe that into a positive thought. Eric mentioned, not knowing how his car works, but he knows that if he hits the gas, then he punches it up. And if he hits the brakes, it stops, right? We talked last week about electricity. I mean, do you guys, anybody here, we talked about this in context of the science of getting rich. If you walk across the room right now, I'm looking for somebody who has a light on in the room. Looks like we all have beautiful, daylight coming in the windows right now, but somebody has a light in their room right there. Marsha, maybe you're in a place where there's a light on. Okay. You can walk over and you can flip that switch wherever it is in your room, and that light's going to shut off, right? So do you need to know how that process takes place in order to believe that that's the truth? It is the truth. It is the truth, whatever you choose to believe, right? So the truth is still the truth. The truth is still the truth, no matter what you choose to believe. So it's really important to become aware. And we're off on a tangent here, but that's what we do on Fridays. So bear with us. So, and here, I want to segue into something where it kind of fits into the same idea, right? So people worry about, am I going to be able to get this? Am I able to understand the technology? We worry about things for no reason too. A lot of times, again, for reasons that were implanted in us at a very young age. And, we spend life is not without problems, you guys. Life is not without problems. Problems are all part of living. So let me show you how much time we waste. Again, I'm taking this from Earl Nightingale, but let me show you how much time we waste in worrying about the wrong problems. So this is what he did some research, and he deemed this to be a reliable estimate of the things that people worry about. Things that never happen, 40%. Just let that one sink in by itself for a second. Things that never happen, 40%.
That is so true. How many things do you worry about that never happen?
Right, exactly.
Or your kid is out at night and he doesn't call you. You start worrying about what might have happened.
Not only you worry about it, you actually create the scenario in your mind about what has probably happened. They're dead on the side of the road. They've overdosed on drugs. Somebody shot something into their, who knows where your mind goes with all these things. So 40% of the things that we worry about are things that never happen. 30%, things that are over in the past can't be changed by all the worry in the world. 30%. Okay.
Wow. That's 70%.
All right. That's 70% right there. Right. Needless worries about our health, 12%. Petty miscellaneous worries, 10%. Real legitimate worries, all that's left is 8%. So in short, 92% of the average person's worries take up valuable time, cause painful stress, even mental anguish, and are absolutely unnecessary. Mark Twain had an amazing quote. Eric, pick it up for a second because I want to actually get this quote right. I'm going to look it up real quick.
About that. Go ahead. I just want to say, think about all the times where you have you ever had a symptom of something? So you go online and you Google it, and then you find out all the bad things. Oh my gosh, I might have this. I might have this. I might have this. And you're like, and it brings this avalanche of potential problems that you could have, which, self-diagnosis, both mentally and physically is really not recommended. Right. So,
Well, here's the quote that I was talking about, Mark Twain. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened.
Yeah.
I love that. It's simple and sweet. And yeah. And the thing is, the things that we know now about physics and quantum mechanics, I mean, we know, like, we can say almost with absolute certainty that our thoughts create our reality. Our thoughts for sure create the perception of our reality. So you get to decide how something's going to be. You get to decide how you frame that. That's why we focus so much on mindset on these trainings. We focus on mindset because the mindset, your proper mindset is what's going to get you through the days that are not awesome. Okay. Unless you choose for every day to be awesome. Right. But that's a mindset. So we've talked about this before. It's really easy to go out and be a rock star on the days that you wake up feeling great. A little more challenging on the days when it feels like somebody hit you in the head with a 2x4 from the minute you put your feet on the ground. You stub your toe on the bed and you get that phone call from some bill collector, or, your alarm clock doesn't go off and you're late for work. I don't know what that means anymore. I don't even know why I use that as a reference, but anyway, you see my point.
So what do you do when you get hit in the head with the 2x4 and you feel like you're feeling like there's no end to this particular issue or problem that you're currently dealing with? What's the practical thing to do, Jeff? Or what is he just about to go there? Am I jumping ahead or what?
No, actually, I think you should answer that question. You asked it. I think you should answer it because you have something in mind, and I've got a way that I would do it. And
the first thing I do, when I get to that point, and look, we all get there. I mean, it comes. And sometimes, I'll be completely transparent. I have a degree of mental illness that's in my family. Okay. That it's part of my DNA. I'm not saying I'm mentally ill, but I'm saying that I tend to swing in my emotions. I get very excited, and sometimes I get very down. And the times when I'm down, what picks me up again is I just start thinking of what I'm grateful for. And I start putting together a grateful list. And I start with very, very basics. I woke up this morning, I'm alive, the sun is out, the clouds are out, it's going to rain, and it's going to rain and make everything green and beautiful. Whatever. I'm grateful I've got clean air to breathe. I'm grateful for my family, for my wife, for my child. I'm grateful for, and I just start stacking the things I'm grateful for. And once you have gratitude, then that kind of starts to pull you out of the funk of dwelling on whatever problem or issue you feel like you have that's insurmountable at the moment.
Absolutely. And, the first word I would have said in answer to the question too would have been gratitude. And you can say, well, what's there to be grateful for in those moments? Well, Eric just went down the list. The first thing that I would do is and I do this on days I feel good or not as good. Want to get up, pull back the covers, put my feet on the ground, take a deep breath and say, I'm grateful to be here taking a breath, because somebody else can't today. There's somebody else out there who's having trouble with that, that's having COPD or has to breathe with an oxygen tank or couldn't even get out of bed. Okay. So, I mean, I like to, there's a hashtag I use a lot, hashtag what's your excuse, right? What's your excuse? Like if you go out in the world, you will find people who have overcome tremendous odds and major issues in their lives. I watched a video. I think Alex put out a video on the Facebook group the other day. A bunch of guys, athletes, they were all working out. They were all missing a limb. Each one of them was missing a limb. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it's like you look at something awesome. You look at something like that, and you just have to say, I mean, really, what excuse do I really have? Like, how is it even, in what universe is it okay for me even to make an excuse based on that? I mean, you may feel like we all feel like the stuff that we're dealing with is the biggest stuff in the world, but it's just stuff. And that kind of segues back to where we were. We were talking about worries. We were talking about, there's really of the real legitimate worries, that little 8% we talked about, there's really two kinds. There's problems that we can solve. And then there's problems that are beyond our ability to solve. But, most of our real problems usually fall into that first group, the ones that we can solve if we learn how. So you need to learn to become a problem solver. That's part of having a successful mindset. It's part of success overall. What we do all day long is basically solve problems.
Yep.
I just wanted to say thank you to Eric for bringing that up. And I just also want to make another comment and sharing about your family history of mental illness, because I share that as well. And it's kind of an insidious thing, because it's in the background all the time, and it is in your DNA. It's definitely a chemical thing, and it's not a dramatic thing. So, if you have that, you're probably functioning fairly normally, looking at everybody else, but they don't see what's actually really going on. So I've been thinking a lot about what you're saying about how, our thoughts create things, and that's not a new concept to me. I've been reading some other things, and I'm not even sure who I picked this up from recently, but it's about, I think there's some truth to it. It's deeper than your thoughts are creating things. I think it's your beliefs. Mm-hmm. Someone said it's your beliefs that are creating the thoughts that are creating the things. And so I've been making an attempt to dive a little deeper and get at those beliefs, and we did that at the event and talking about beliefs. And that's not a new idea, but it's actually getting there takes quite a lot of effort, and catching those beliefs, so recognizing the beliefs as the source of the thoughts. And so that's kind of what I'm grappling with right now, is those beliefs, those core beliefs.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And you mentioned something about DNA. And again, there's more and more research coming out all the time that would indicate that your thoughts and beliefs can actually restructure your DNA, so that something that is that you think is a genetic defect that you can't do anything about is actually not true. Read The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, for example. And there's another one too. I can't think of the author's name. He actually lives right up here in Santa Rosa. I can't think of the name of the book, but the study, the science is called epigenetics. And it's about literally that. It's about shifting your belief, which actually can shift the structure of your DNA. Again, I'm going back to what are we using right now on what is humanity using as far as its mental capacity? Super, super small, little tiny fraction, right? And so look at what we have accomplished just with that. And then imagine what, 2x or 5x or 10x of that would look like. I mean, potentially the ability to just manifest out of thin air, right? Potentially, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I think anything is possible. I believe that anything is possible. Because just look around you. Look at what's already happened. So anyway, all right. So Eric, did you want to say something? You started to say something and I was on a roll.
Well, no, it just is, I mean, there's the 5% of our potential. Look, even the smartest person in the world is only using 5% of the potential of the brain.
Yeah,
that's what you got to realize. That
that number is. It's a fraction of the total.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know if that 5% is the number. It's a fraction. Yeah, it's a small fraction. So
exactly,
a lot of potential.
So rolling back to, so it all comes down to problem solving, right? I mean, life is a series of solving problems, doing calculations and determining an outcome for yourself. So I love this exercise. It's something I've been doing for a long time, and I like the way Earl puts it. And I want to put it in the context, first of all, of time. And I just want to find this section here. So let's take a look at time, and then we're going to talk, because I want to get the time excuse out of the way before I actually say what I want you to do, because I know it's going to comes up for everybody. So let's look at a few facts. Let's take a 40-hour week, which is kind of like our standard work week, although I don't really like that number, but that's my own opinion. So that means, if you have a 40-hour week, that means that the average person has at his disposal an enormous amount of free time. In fact, if you total the hours in a year, subtract the sleeping hours, assuming 8 hours of sleep every night, you'll find that each individual has about 6,000 waking hours, of which less than 2,000 are spent on the job. So do the math. That leaves 4,000 hours a year when you're not working and you're not sleeping. So we can call these discretionary hours. In other words, you can do with these whatever you choose, right? So if you really want to see amazing results in your life, then I just want to recommend, and again, this is something that I learned a long time ago from Earl Nightingale, and I'm just taking out of his material right now. I want to recommend that you devote just 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, to exercising your mind. You don't even have to do it on weekends, but you should. But just 5 hours a week, okay? 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. Pick an hour a day that you can count on pretty regularly. Like for me, the best time is in the morning. Eric and I have a morning routine that we do. We don't even, with very rare exceptions, we don't even interrupt each other for that morning routine. Like we both know that we're on it. And so this becomes an area of discipline that contributes directly to our success. So, it's vital, it's important, it's protected, it's on my calendar. Nobody can schedule time over that. The only thing would be in the case of an emergency, and even then, that's emergencies are relative too. All right, so pick an hour that you can count on regularly, whether that's morning, evening, whatever. For me, the morning's good because mind is clear, the house is quiet, have a cup of coffee, cup of tea, whatever you do to get your day started. And then during this hour, every day, take a completely blank sheet of paper. And at the top of the page, you want to write your present primary goal, okay? Not the 50 goals that you'd like to achieve on your checklist, but the one main thing. So everybody should have that. Everybody should know what that is. It can be a financial goal. It can be a personal goal, whatever you want it to be, right? So you take that goal and you put it at the top of the page, right? Just write it down really clear, really simply. And since our future really depends on the way that we handle the work, then just write down as many ideas. Let me back up a little bit. This goal basically goes back to what I just said. Everything's about solving a problem, right? So to hit that goal, you just need to solve the calculation. You need to solve the arithmetic, the math, the whatever it is to make that problem happen. I'm using math as an analogy, but you get it. Like it's a problem that you need to solve, right? Not a problem in negative. It is an assignment. It is a formula that you need to solve. Okay. So just do this. Try to think of 20 possible ways.
Sorry, Jeff, can I interject something? Just when Jeff says problem that you need to solve, I want you to, whenever you have a problem, look, the more successful you are, the only difference is the problems are bigger, right? The problems that you have to solve are bigger as you become more successful in life. So what you want to do is you want to start praying for big problems, right? You want to start praying. I hope I have some big problems that come up that I need to solve. And you need, when a problem comes to you, you got to go, thank you, Lord, I got this big problem I get to solve. This is awesome. I am going in the direction I want to go in life, and have that attitude, that mental mindset towards problems. And go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, and again, when I say a problem, I don't mean a negative problem, like, oh my God, I have a problem. I just mean a challenge, something to overcome, right? It's something that you have to raise the bar to achieve. That's what I mean by a problem. Okay, and Eric's 100% right. You want to pray for big problems, big challenges, because those are the things that are going to help you to grow. So sit down, write your primary goal at the top of the page, and then sit down and think of 20 ways every day in that hour's time that you can look at the activity of your day and improve on that process so that you can solve that problem. Now, you may not always get 20, but look, even one idea is good. And there's two really important points to remember with regard to this. First of all, it's very easy for us to self-judge all the time. We do it all the time, right? So this isn't a particularly easy task to do. It sounds easy, 20 ideas. But after you do it for a while, you're going to realize 20, it's a reach, but it's stretching your brain. It's stretching your mind to a new place. Okay. So 2 big points to remember. It's probably not going to be particularly easy. And most of your ideas aren't going to be any good, and it's okay. Don't judge. Just write it down. Just write it down. Keep going, because the idea is to get you in a flow. All right. So when I say it's not easy, I mean, it's just like any other habit that you start. At first, you're going to find that you're a little reluctant. Your mind's a little reluctant. You don't want to haul it up out of the, dust it off and, get out of the old familiar rut. Right. So, think about as you think about the work and the ways that you might improve your work process, write down literally every idea that pops into your head, no matter how ridiculous and absurd it may seem. Some of those are even more fun. So let me tell you what's going to happen. Some of your ideas are going to be good and worth testing out. But the most important thing about this extra hour that you're going to accomplish is that it's going to deeply embed your goal into your subconscious mind and start at work the mechanics in your mind of helping to get to that goal. All right. So, and you're going to start it off that way first thing every morning, or whenever that time is for you. Ideally, I would say in the morning or at night, because that's when your brain is more susceptible to suggestion, right before you're going to go to sleep or right after you get up. So, like I said, some of the ideas will be great. Some will be good. Some will suck horribly. It's okay. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. You're getting the machine oiled. You're getting everything working, like that car Eric talked about. You may not know how your brain works, but we're talking about how to hit the gas right now, how to turn it on. Okay. So think about this, do the math, right? 20 ideas a day. If you can come up with that many, that's 100 a week, even if you skip the weekends. So that's an hour a day, 5 days a week. That totals 260 hours a year. That still leaves you 3,740 hours of free leisure time to do nothing, lay on the beach, whatever. But this also means that you're going to be thinking about your goal and ways of improving your performance, increasing your service. 6.5 extra full working weeks a year, 6.5 40-hour weeks devoted to just thinking and planning. So is it starting to make sense? Can you see how easy it is to rise up and to, match up with or surpass your so-called competition in this business or in life or whatever? I mean, even when you do this, it still leaves you 7 hours a day to do whatever the heck you want. So if you start every day thinking, and you're going to find that your mind will continue to want to work all day. So it's like if you exercise in the morning. Who here exercises in the morning? Type into the chat or raise your hand. Who exercises in the morning? Okay. Do you notice that when you exercise well, let me ask you this. When you don't exercise in the morning, if that's your normal routine, what does the rest of your day typically look like? Lower energy? Olga,
feels like I'm carrying extra weight. Yeah.
I feel lazy all day when I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like drained and lack of energy. I mean.
Yeah, because endorphins are a killer drug, man. Endorphins are awesome, and that's what kicks in. Your endorphins kick in. But there's more than that too. Your mind acknowledges for you, hey, this is a goal you set out to do, and you did that, and you've already accomplished something major. Same thing here with this process we're talking about. You go through this. And your mind is it's in gear. It's clicking. The neurons are firing. The neural pathways are being created to solve your problem. So you start every day thinking, and you're going to find that your mind continues to want to do that work all day. And then you're going to find something really interesting. And this is I love this phenomenon of this process, because when you least expect it, like right in the middle, like you're driving down the freeway later on in the day, and then bam, right? That new idea, like the really good idea, it's just going to pop out of your subconscious. And when that happens, if you're on the highway, pull over.
Write it down.
But
take a voice memo.
Exactly.
Take a note on your phone.
Look, guys, capture
the magic. That's where the magic happens.
I learned this a long time ago as a songwriter. I would come up with an idea, and I would think at the time, that's really cool, and I've got it ingrained in my brain, and there's no way I'm going to forget it, right? And I'll come back to it when I get off work tomorrow, and then I come back tomorrow, and I'm like, God, that was so cool. What was it? What was it? I tell you what, man.
I was going to change the world with those lyrics right there.
Audio recorder app on my phone. I record everything. As soon as I sit down with the guitar right now, I just turn it on and just let it run.
Yeah.
Just let it run. I capture everything because those are all really good ideas. So find ways to capture that. Notepads on your, keep a little spiral notebook, carry a journal. I mean, have a way to do this, you guys. This is so, so important.
I used to notes section on my phone. I just always, everything's right there. It's my little notebook that I've got there. And I think you can actually record. I think you can record audio on that right now too.
We have the technology, and it's really easy to use. So just like if you want to develop, we talked about exercise. So if you want to develop your muscles in your body, or you want to get in better shape, then you're going to engage in a certain amount of daily exercise, right? So the mind is the same way, except the returns out of the mind are exponentially increased. Like you'll get more physical energy too, if you set your mind to that, right? So look, our mind is so powerful that we can literally, figuratively, and literally lift anything. I mean, we've all heard of stories of, say, a mom lifting a car up off of a child that got, run over, stuck underneath the car, right? There's countless numbers of examples like that. Just superhuman strength, right? Well, why is that? Did that lady's body just suddenly become physically stronger?
It's the mind.
The mind had her believing that she was only this strong until she needed to pull that out to lift a freaking car. A car. All right? So hashtag, what's your excuse? Right?
Yeah. Well, and this doesn't have to be all the stuff we're talking about. This can be in any area of your life, right? So it could be financial. It could be in wealth building. It could be your spiritual life. It could be in your marriage, your relationships with your friend, with your spouse, with your partner. It could be your physical life. And really at the end of the day, it should be like you might have. I shouldn't say should. I don't like that word. It will be. So it doesn't all have to be. When you write down your biggest goal, it could be like a health goal. That could be. And what's the problem and brainstorm of the 20 ideas or activities that you can solve your health issue that you're dealing with or whatever. So it can be any part of your life. And at the end of the day, it will end up being all those different parts of your life. But my personal experience is once you solve the cash flow and income problem, if you solve the cash flow issue, all of a sudden you got time to work on health. If you guys have seen me on these videos, I'm shrinking. And
you're half the man you used to be.
Yeah. So it's because I've got time to, I've got time to work on my health. It's become a priority. And so anyways, that's a good place to start.
Exactly. Well, the concept itself can be applied to any goal, to anything that you want. So the point, really, I guess to recap everything, the point is that you have the single most powerful supercomputer sitting on your shoulders right now. The ability to literally solve any problem, create a solution for anything. And you don't even have to believe that when I say it. If you put these things into practice, you're going to find that you're going to have a hard time arguing with that concept.
And just imagine where you would be 6 months from now if you did these 4 steps that I wrote down in the notes. So if you go to the notes, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. As Jeff was talking about, I was writing in there. So, imagine in 6 months, if you did this 5 days a week and 1 hour just focusing, meditation, thinking about your biggest problem, that in relation to your business or whatever it is. Think of how far ahead you're going to be from where you are today if you do this every 5 days a week for the next 6 months. You'll be completely shocked. You'll be completely amazed at the progress that you've made and how far you've come in that time frame. That's exciting.
And here, let me give you a little more sort of sobering thought. Now that you know this, think about how you're going to feel 6 months from now if you don't do this. Awareness is the key, right? Now you know. So now you got no excuse. Well, I didn't know this stuff before. You do. You got it.
I'm printing it out. I got the 4 steps. I'm printing it out.
Hey, I have a mantra that I use. I say this to myself all the time. All the time. Do you guys want to hear it?
No.
Mantra. All right, here's my mantra. To know and not to do is not to know. Because a lot of times people, my son just said, pretty good mantra there, buddy, from the other room.
And he's 14. 15.
So, but to know and not to do is not to know, because, and you got to watch yourself, watch your, because your primitive brain a lot of times will say, like, someone will start saying something like, let's say we just started training on this. And if you say to yourself, oh, I know this. Whenever you say, I know this, what happens is your brain shuts off. It stops. And it says, oh, I know this. Don't have to pay attention. I can watch the TV instead. I can listen to the radio. I can pretend like I'm on here learning and I'm not paying attention or I'm thinking about something else because I know this already. And so,
I got this.
Yeah. So try to keep yourself, think of mastering something, because a master, like someone made a comment of talking about yoga, and they talk about yoga as a practice, because you can always, you're practicing, right? You're always getting better. There's always a higher level that you can achieve, and you're not competing against anybody, but you're just practicing your yoga practice, and you're evolving over time and getting better. Either we're green and growing, or we're ripe and rotting. So you want to be green and growing. You want to there's always another level, right? You get to every level, there's always more that you can do. There's always more that you can accomplish. So anyways.
Yeah. So Olga asked, do you update the list if it's the same goal daily, meaning changing the to-dos? So if I'm understanding your question, Olga, what you're doing here with this process of coming up with these ideas, you're taking the best ideas and you're turning those into the to-dos. So yeah, you would be updating your to-do list or your action list or your strategy list, assuming you're talking, and this is in reference to business. This is just the way I'm kind of thinking. If you come up with a really good idea about your business when you do through this process, then you add that to the things that you want to be applying on a daily basis. Does that answer your question? Does that make sense? Okay, great. Oh, and I just remembered the name of that book at the epigenetic. And Olga, you mentioned something about epigenetics too. The book is by Dawson Church. It's called The Genie in Your Genes. That is the epigenetics book. That guy is awesome. And he's a super, super nice guy too. I've had a chance to meet him a few times. He just, like I said, he lives up in Santa Rosa, but he's really well known in a lot of different.
Can you spell that?
Dawson, Dawson, Dawson Church, just like going to church.
Okay, got it. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
The genie in your genes.
How about the mantra? How about the mantra? What'd you say? To know and not to do is stupid.
Well, think of all.
You got to be careful
things.
though. What kind of messages you're putting back in your brain, though, right? If you catch yourself not doing it one day, then all of a sudden you're saying, "Okay, I'm stupid." So be careful how you frame that.
Be careful. But that's why I say to know and not to do is not to know, because there's all kinds of stuff that I know better. I know I shouldn't be eating this Twinkie, but oh man, I want to eat it. It's just. There's things that that you do all the time, but I try not to beat myself up on it, but I'm just looking to get a little incrementally better on a daily basis so that eventually, becoming the best version of yourself, you're becoming the best you possibly can be. Right.
There's a lot of different ways to frame that. It's like, the way I said it at the beginning is, knowledge is power. It's the application of knowledge. You can know something, but knowing it doesn't do anything unless you do something about it. So, but I love the way that's phrased. All right, guys, we got a couple more minutes left. Does anybody have questions, comments, anything they'd like to add, personal experience? We got coaches on the line here. Go ahead, Carol.
I do. I don't. Last week, my internet was out. My internet and my phone. It was a big problem.
That's a problem.
But I decided that in order for me to survive, I was going to have to just accept it until they got there to fix it. And one of the things I did was I sat down, started checking things like, I had an app on my phone for library books, and I wondered what was still on my shelf. And lo and behold, there was this wonderful book you'd recommended several months ago called, it's about being a smart ass about money.
You're a badass of money. Jen Sincero.
Jen Sincero.
You're a badass at making money. That's it.
Right. And what was here in front of my face is I need to want my dream more than my drama. Okay. And that sounded like what we're talking about with problems to start with here. Yeah. And one of the things that she did was inspire me to do what you've just explained right now. And since I had a lot of time, I did. I said, if I want to make $10,000 a week. And I said, well, why don't I just 10X that? And that's $100,000.
Sweet.
That's pretty big. And then
Drinks on you next time.
And then I said, as long as I'm being extreme, why not 200,000? So I sat down and I sort of did something similar to what you're just talking about with the 20 ideas. Mm-hmm. And figured out how I could manage to come up with that kind of money that fast. Anyway, I worked it through, and I came up with a bunch of different ideas that kind of led to things I need to do. But lo and behold, sure enough, after I had stopped doing it, an idea did pop into my mind about how to make $200,000 in one whack.
Go figure.
It requires a great deal of self-confidence and a lot of guts. And I've still got it on my list, but I'm still working on the other parts. But anyway, this other thing that's in front of my face is from last night, the late night, a little video that was put up by Jackie Allen. It says, today is the day, get off the sidelines and get into action. Those are the two things. Need to want my dream more than my drama. Get off the sidelines and take action.
I love that.
What was in front of my face when I got on here? And lo and behold, guess what you were talking about?
Shocking. It's amazing, isn't it?
Actually,
anyway, I thank you for everything, because all of the stuff that you have suggested over the last months, I've taken in, and little by little, it's getting incorporated. So thank you very much.
It's so much our pleasure.
Carol. Hey, it was great to meet you in Denver. It was awesome.
And congratulations on your win.
Wasn't that the day you announced to yourselves that you were having a partnership the first time we met?
Yeah. Yes.
We announced it that weekend. I don't remember which day, but I think that was the day after you had won. You won the drawing for the wasn't it for Josue's thing?
Yes, it is. So now I have to figure out how to do Instagram.
Start with the one in your back office. Do the growth first, and then
yes.
And you know what? That could be a great goal right at the top of your page.
Yes, it
come up with 20 ideas a day on how you're going to grow your Instagram. Starting with setting up your Instagram account.
So, Carol, you just said something that I think is, you got to realize that, life is really, at the end of the day, it is game. You know, it's just a game that you learn how to play and play to win. You know, it's not. And if you think of it like a game, it becomes fun. You know, it becomes fun to do. And hey, Connie, appreciate you so much. Good to see you. Good to see you. Your better half. You're over there in the corner.
Always hiding out.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Thanks, guys.
anything else to add, Jeff? Or anyone else?
Thanks for everything. Sounds good.
Pleasure, Bridget. Glad to have you part of our community here. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Appreciate you being here.
All right. Well, I think then it is time to wrap it up. So, guys, Finish Strong Friday. It's a wrap. Once again, hashtag FSF. Go out and tear it up. Do anything and everything that you have not done this week. Get it done today so you can go into the weekend feeling like you accomplished something big. Start writing down those 20 solutions to whatever your main goal is every day for the next week. And I love hearing these stories like Carol shared, Joyce shared one and shared from time to time, as well as Anne and other people that have been on these trainings for a long period of time, of applying the things that we teach here and creating a shift in your life, and then coming back and seeing exactly what we talked about before. 90 days later, what does it look like? 6 months later, what does it look like? So this stuff works, guys. You know,
I'm getting onboarded today with Maysoon.
Well,
lovely. Say hi to Maysoon.
Most awesome.
We love Maysoon. She's great.
I'm very excited.
Cool. Well, we're excited to have you on our team.
Yay! Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
all right,
guys.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate y'all.
Take care. Talk to you soon.
Guys.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jeff.